The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod and we are coming to you live from my house and live from our producer's house. Two very different places, two different cities, in fact. And later we're going to be live from somebody else's house as well. So somebody pretty fabulous, let me just say. Thrilled to be here with you on this Thursday morning. I have to tell you that yesterday was hilarious for me because in the afternoon I was in a meeting with a group of people and I said, man, today is just, I don't know, kicking my keister. Today's just been, you know, and I think part of it is psychologically because it's Tuesday and we're not even at hump day and we're not even, you know, it's just so, and I just kept going on about how, you know, Tuesday's just killing me. Tuesday just feels like it's been the longest day. And then finally they were like, except Shannon, today is Wednesday. And I was like, it is, thank goodness, because Tuesday has felt like it's 2 days long. I don't know if you're having that kind of a week, but you know, everybody keeps talking about how this is like Groundhog Day, that, you know, rinse and repeat. They're getting up every day and the days are running into each other. And, you know, it just gets really hard. I think for those of us that are working and have set schedules, that it's ever so slightly not quite that way. And yet there I was going, man, Tuesday is long. And it wasn't. It was Wednesday. And in fact, it was the end of the day Wednesday. No wonder why Tuesday seems so long. Hey, listen, we're going to be with you live for this entire hour. And we're going to be off the chart with some information and inspiration here because our guest today is honestly, I'm just going to weep because he just is one of my favorite people on the face of the planet, where I'm talking about Coby Bird. Coby Bird is going to be with us in just a little while. For those of you who are the wonderful Coby Bird fans, and I know that you guys are out there and watching, he's going to be joining us in about 17 minutes. So set your timers, go get your popcorn, because he's fabulous, right? And for those of you who don't know who Coby Bird is, I just don't know where you've been, but I'm thrilled to introduce you to this wonderful young man. We were talking about him with Temple Grandin the other day because he's remarkable. He's 17 years old, about to be 18, on the autism spectrum. He's a working actor is what he is. And we've known Coby since I believe he was 14. He started coming on the show when he was 14 and talking about acting and the different acting roles that he was doing. And, you know, during that time, Coby was on Speechless, and then he had a big role on The Good Doctor, which was just, I think it was life-changing for everybody in the autism community because it was the first time that we were aware of someone on a hit TV show that was on the autism spectrum playing someone who was on the autism spectrum. And I think it just blew all of our doors off. And of course, all of a sudden that became, you know, much more normal, right? Because Coby forged the path. And then now Coby is one of the main characters in the hit Netflix show, Locke and Key. And if you have not been watching Locke and Key, I just want to say to you, congratulations, you now know what you're doing for the rest of the weekend because it's super fabulous. Hey, we're saying hello to Johanny, who's watching from Pennsylvania. Woohoo. That's, you know, guys, write in, tell us where you're watching from. We'll make sure that we let Coby know. So super, like if you have a kiddo who's on the spectrum, this is going to be very exciting for you to watch this young man who, I'm just going to tell you, is remarkable in the way that he views the world and the way he views his autism. I went to see him deliver the keynote speech to the TACA conference back in the spring. And let me just tell you that there was not a dry eye in the house. This young man got up and spoke for an hour and had us all in pieces on the floor, and so inspirational. So we're so thrilled that Coby's going to be with us in a little bit here, and you could be writing in your questions for him right now. I also want to remind you that tomorrow, because we're not toying around here with April, right? We're making sure we bring you like the people that you really need to hear from. Tomorrow, we're having Temple Grandin's mother, Eustacia Cutler, on, and I can't wait for that as well. All right, but before all that, we want to make sure that you guys know how to connect with us. So if you're watching for the first time, please know that we are live in a variety of different places right now. We are live on our homepage, which is autism-live.com. We are, and Traven, you can show the graphic if you've got it there. We are live on YouTube right now. We are live on Facebook right now. We are live on Periscope, and we are live on Twitter. You can watch us live in any one of those places. And that will, you know, this is being recorded and it will continue to play in all those places the rest of the day, and in some cases stay longer than that. Now, we also podcast this so that if you need to come back and watch it later on, or you want to go, hey, I want to watch Coby when he was a 14-year-old, then you would want to find one of the places that we podcast. Now, we podcast to obviously our YouTube channel. And you can go through our YouTube channel. We're also, you can find all of our videos at autism-live.com, and you can search them. You can put in Coby Bird and search and find when he's done red carpets for us. He's done a lot of things for us. But you can also find us on iTunes. It's a free download. You can download either just the sound or picture and sound. We are also available on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Deezer, just to name a few. And, you know, Cassidy Hooper was telling us at the beginning of the week that her podcast was on Anchor. We have to check that out, Traven. Maybe we need to be on Anchor too. I just don't know these things. But thrilled that we have all these different ways that you can find the information that we're doing today and the information that we've been doing for the last 8 years, almost 9 years. So check it out, all those different places. Now, I like to remind you at the start of the show that we have lots of great experts on the show. Please don't confuse me with one of them because I am not. My credential is simply that I am a mom of an individual who was diagnosed with autism as a child, and so I have an affinity with this larger community. And when I say larger community, because that's what Autism Live is for, I'm talking about, of course, individuals who are on the autism spectrum. We want to give them a voice, and we also want to give them a place to come and find information and inspiration and resources, right? But we also include in that larger community everyone who loves those individuals. Everyone who loves and cares about them, from parents to grandparents, aunts, uncles, spouses, girlfriends, boyfriends, cousins, therapists, right? Teachers, all of those people, we want to welcome them here because we may not agree on a whole lot of different things, but we all know we agree on a couple of things. And that's that individuals on the autism spectrum deserve respect. They deserve resources. They deserve employment, right? They deserve dignity, and that we can all be working towards that happening and finding them supports to make all of those things happen. And it is not one size fits all, right? So that's what I love to talk about here. Thrilled that we are here with you guys to do that, and that you're here to talk with us as well. I want to say hello to somebody, but I'm afraid I'm going to slaughter their name. So Koyanfing, hello, how are you? Glad that you're here with us today. Okay, now on Thursdays, we like to start off the show with something we fondly refer to as the jargon of the day. This is when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym. We try to figure out what in the hey nani nani are the experts talking about. So you just saw a preview of what the jargon is today. It's okay. We can just go right to it, Traven. Sometimes we show you a fun graphic, but you know, it's all on the fly here. It's all on the fly. So our jargon term for today is imaginative play. And, you know, I'm somebody who loves the whole art of play because I do feel like play gives us a place to fail safely. That if we are playing with a child and we're making believe it's okay if they don't get it right 100% of the time. In fact, we can make it fun that they aren't getting it right 100% of the time and teach them flexibility and realizing that when you don't get it right, it's not the be all end all, right? But there are a lot of different types of play. And sometimes when we go, oh, well, I want my child to be able to play and they just aren't playing in the way that I imagined that they would, right? Sometimes it's helpful to segment it out and talk about the different kinds of play. So last week we talked about sociodramatic play. And then earlier this week we talked about functional pretend play. So let's take a look at what imaginative play is, because I feel like a lot of us, that's what we want to get to. So let's take a look at what our actual definition is. And we try to give actual definitions and make fun of them whenever possible. Well, that was a pretty handy dandy little segue. Imaginative play, using imagination to create objects, locations, scenarios, and situations where they do not already exist for the purpose of play. Well, you know what? There's not much to be made fun of there, but let's see if we can pare it down even more so that we can really begin to understand what this looks like. What's the difference between functional pretend play, for instance, and imaginative play? So let's take a look at what our working definition for play is. And I feel like when we know these things, we can start to see, okay, that's what my child is not doing. So imaginative play is making it up. So just to give you a little bit of context, when we were talking about the functional pretend play, that's when your child is, you give them the fake cash register, right? And so they can play the cash register, and now we can take that into sociodramatic play, and we can say, now you are the owner of a shoe store, and I'm going to be the person who's going to come in, and I'm going to be the person who's buying shoes, right? But now anything can happen, right? And if we get to true imaginative play, we can be in the middle of the shoe store and I could say, it's an earthquake. And we all pretend that we're in an earthquake and we just make it up as we go. And I'll tell you something, like, it sounds like, well, duh. But the truth of the matter is that sometimes our kids don't automatically jump to these things. This is why it's great when they have the opportunity to have a sibling or a play date. We always advocate for having the bossy girl in their class come over for a play date when it's not COVID, right? Because the bossy girl will say, now it's an earthquake and now you have to be doing this, right? And plus, which that mom loves it that you invited their bossy daughter over, because a lot of times the other kids won't invite them over. Now, in COVID times, we don't have the opportunity to invite the bossy girl from the class over, but we can do this. The truth of the matter is that when we get down on the floor and play with our kids, and by the way, this is, something you can do with a 3-year-old, but it's absolutely something you can do with a 13-year-old. It just maybe gets a little bit more specific about what the things are that interest them. So it could be that, with a 13-year-old, let's say that we pick the thing that they're interested in and that we hone in on that and make it imaginative play. I know a 13-year-old that really loved classical music. And so the mom would put on NPR and play classical music. And then as the music would play, she would make up a story of what was happening to fit the music, sort of like what is the Fantasia? Yes. And so she would create pictures with her words, and then she would say to him, now you make it up, right? And what that does is it creates that flexibility that we all want, because flexibility is the core of being able then later to solve problems and be effective in doing that. So remember that we started with talking about the fact that play is that place where you can fail and it's okay. So if you aren't able to solve the problem in play, nothing, no harm, no foul, right? We just do it again the next time. But in life, sometimes when you can't solve the problem, it's very frustrating. So if we can teach it first in play, then we can get it later on. And imaginative play is a great way to do that. I got to watch my time. We don't want to be late for Coby. Okay, moving on. We always have a question of the day for you that we love to have you guys answer on Facebook. I know today it's an uphill climb because you're just going to want to talk to Coby. But our question is, have you watched Locke and Key yet? And if you haven't, what are you waiting for? It's available on Netflix. It's one of the hit shows on Netflix. And it's been, spoiler alert, it's been renewed for season 2, and we're really excited about that. But this is a super show. There are a couple of parts that are scary. So depending on how old your kiddo is, you might want to watch it first and then watch it with your kiddo. But there's some really cool things in it that even smaller kiddos will find really fascinating. So you got to be watching Locke and Key. And when you do, you'll see the fabulous Coby Bird on the show. Okay, moving on. We always have a topic this week. And boy, has this topic this week really made me start to think, right? Making lemonade. We're well into this isolation. We all thought it was going to be 14 days. And now we see, we're more than a month in for most of us. And it looks like it's going to be approximately, if not 14 more days, another month that we're going to be in this. So you got to start to find what are the things that are good in this and capitalize on them. So whatever you've got, and I've been saying to autism parents, this is a moment in time when everything has slowed down and you've got an opportunity to learn ways to connect with your child. And that connection can be watching a program on Netflix. It does not have to be you doing therapy and sitting down and learning how to do therapy, although lean into the professionals in your life and say, I want to be able to do this. How can I do it? It can be a time when you can, maybe you didn't have the time before to play tea and set up the stuffed animals and have a tea service for your little boy or your little girl, right? Maybe you didn't have the time before to, fill in the blank. What didn't you have the time for? Do you have the time to do it now? What's in your way? Let's make lemonade because we've been handed some lemons. But what I'm loving is hearing how people are making the most of it. And there are good things. We just have to look for them. Okay, so moving on, we've got this big show for you. I am so excited that we're going to be talking with Coby Bird momentarily. I'm looking to see if I have my tape, because I don't know if you guys know the story of what happened like 2 times ago when we had Coby Bird on the show. He's just a fabulous young man. And he's a personal friend of my family and of my son. And his mom is one of my favorite people and one of my best friends. She's one of my besties, right? So I get nervous when I'm interviewing people. And when I'm nervous, I talk too much. Here I am hosting a show. So I talked too much and I didn't let Coby talk enough. And people were writing in and saying, shut that woman up. What is wrong with her? There is something wrong with her. Somebody, put some tape over her mouth. So I watched the interview back and I was like, oh my gosh, they're entirely right. And I apologized profusely. And I said, I'm going to invite Coby back, but I'm going to put tape over my mouth and let him talk. And we did that. And I brought in some tape here earlier today, but I don't know what I did with it. I'll have to locate it. But I'm just going to try to ask a question and shut my pie hole. And please feel free to write in and go, Shannon, shut up. Because I can take it. But anyway, thrilled. And we've already got people writing in saying, I love Locke and Key. And another person saying, have you seen Autism, the musical on Netflix? And everybody should be watching that. I think next week we're having Lane Hall back to talk about the sequel, which debuts on Tuesday. I can't find the tape. Something has happened to the tape. I'll just, right? Okay. And that's not on Netflix. That is on HBO. Okay. So, and I want to just see what else you guys are writing in. Okay. Well, who else has, from Onehunga? I don't even know where Onehunga is. So I would love to hear about Onehunga and where on the map that is. Okay. Fabulous. You guys are just writing in and saying how much you love Locke and Key. And hi, hello. Anthony is watching from Vancouver, British Columbia. He can't wait to see Coby live on YouTube. So thrilled. Stay safe and take care. Thank you. All right, so it's time. Let's bring Coby in. And I'll try not to talk too much. Let's see. So Traven's letting him into the room. And is he there? I'm going to keep talking about him. I just want to say before he comes in, or when, there he is. Coby! Hello.
Hi, Shannon. Good to see you. It's been so long.
It is so good to see you. I miss you, Coby.
I miss you too. It's been a month.
It has. It's been a really long time. But Coby, our viewers are so excited that you're here. They've already been writing in and saying how much they love Locke and Key.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here.
We're so happy that you're here too. So I already told them about the story about how I had to put tape on my mouth.
Oh, I remember that.
because
yeah.
Because I don't let you talk. Yeah. I'm already doing it. Okay, so let's start out by talking about Locke and Key.
Absolutely.
And what it has been like for you having a hit show on Netflix.
It has been such an amazing experience for me. It's crazy to think that only about almost 2 years ago, I was auditioning for the show and having no idea what it was, but then knowing the comic book, but just being part of the family and everything. The journey was just fantastic, and the awards coming after are even better. But being on the show, just filming and just being a part of everything, being on the red carpet, everything about it has just been so life-changing for me. It really has.
Wonderful. How did you find out that you got the role? Because people have this thought, Coby, that, roles just fall from the sky and there's no work that has to be done. What was the process, and how did you find out that you did in fact got the role?
Absolutely. I did the audition back in November of 2018, and a week later they paid me for the role, which was amazing. And then we waited all the way to January, and then my agent actually called me, and my mom actually recorded me, and my agent told me about the role, and I was just shocked, but just so livid about it. And actually we just posted the video on Instagram. So if you want to see, you can check it out on my page. But it was just, I was so in my head for just a couple of weeks until we flew, because I was just so shocked, but also I was just so happy about it happening. But it was fantastic. It really, really was.
And you brought up the Instagram. Where do people need to go to follow your Instagram?
Absolutely. So you can follow me at the Coby Bird. So it's COBYBARD. So at the Coby Bird.
So THE though. You gotta say the Coby Bird.
Yeah. Got it. The Coby Bird.
And Coby is COBY, and Bird is like bird, which is fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you got and they can see the video of them telling you that you got the role.
Absolutely, and it's
so great.
My reaction was pretty fantastic. I was still looking back at it, and I was saying, oh my gosh, I literally just decided to do what I did, but you'll see. But it was pretty amazing. I slammed my hand on the table because I was so happy about it happening, and then literally my voice was just like my voice was all strained up. So I was saying, I got it. So
and you were 16 at that point. You got that at 16. You turned 17 while you were filming it, and now you're getting ready to turn 18, which is super cool.
In a month.
Wow.
It's pretty fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. I can't believe I'm already gonna be 18. I remember meeting you when I was 14. That's just pretty fantastic. It really is.
It seems like a long weekend to go. Okay, so back to Locke and Key. This was not filmed in Los Angeles. Where was this mostly filmed?
We filmed over in Toronto, Ontario. Just that area we filmed in Hamilton, and we actually filmed up in Nova Scotia for one scene in a small fishing town called Lunenburg, which was just fantastic. That entire village was just so amazing just to be in, just seeing it. It felt like we were in Europe. It was a pretty amazing experience. It really was.
And what was it like being on the set for this I mean, when you're filming something, how many episodes is it?
10
Coby?
episodes. 10 episodes.
10 episodes. 10 1-hour episodes. And so you were up there for quite a while and on the set with all these people. And here you were, a 16-year-old, then 17-year-old on the spectrum. What was it like for you being on the set?
It felt like I was a kid again. It felt like I was on the Universal lot, but being around being around all the models and being in the sound stages, just everything, seeing the show come to life on screen, but just being there myself was just fantastic. Seeing all the keys, the props, everything just was my. If I were a kid, if I were 8 years old, I probably would be freaking out because I would just be so excited about being there. But since I wasn't able to tell anyone, I was saying the things I've seen on set are just fantastic. You're gonna like there's gonna be some amazing things happening in the show. But being on set was just fantastic. It really, really was.
I want you to know, Coby, that we got people writing in from all over the world. That Yana is writing in from Armenia. And wants from Armenia, and they said, Coby, so nice to see you. Oh. Love Locke and Key and Rufus. And Austin says, hi, Coby, love you, buddy. Awesome. Just lots of love pouring in here. So yeah, I mean, when people watch the show, they'll see that there are some pretty incredible sets, and to be on them and to be, with those, like, so cool. But there's a fair amount of snow too, and it had to have been cold up there too. Was this your first time being in the snow? You're in LA, baby.
Yeah, I have been in snow, but not like the snow in Toronto. I mostly the snow I grew up in before Locke and Key was we would go on trips to Big Bear, or there was some places up north where we would go see that have falling snow, but not somewhere where you would be living daily in snow. So being in full on snow, being out in the cold, I loved it. I loved it without a doubt. Like it was so fantastic just to be there. But for the first couple months, it was pretty much a polar vortex. We actually discovered something called freezing rain on our weather app, and I was saying, wait, hold on, there's freezing rain that exists. That I had no idea. So that was pretty amazing. But as time went by, we loved the snow, and it was cool. And it was cool because actually being in Toronto, we got to see the season change as the months went by. So it was pretty fantastic. And right at the end, it was summer, and it definitely was a good way to say goodbye to Toronto. But being in the snow for the first 2 months was pretty fantastic.
And there were some actual scenes that you had to film where you were like out shoveling snow and all real snow, Coby.
The first scene I actually shot was in this shed in the middle of the forest, and it actually was snowing as we were filming. So the scene itself felt really realistic, and and having the snow come down, it wasn't dramatic, but it had a very good way of introducing Rufus because actually that was the first scene where Rufus comes in and introduces himself. But being in that scene was just cool, so cool. It probably was one of my favorite scenes because of all the production value and everything. It really was amazing.
And there were so many secrets that about what was, and I'm going to try not to do any spoiler alerts for those of you who haven't watched all 10 episodes. But you need to watch all 10 episodes because stuff happens and you go, oh, and just when you think you haven't figured it out, it spins it all on its head. But there were so many secrets about who was in the cast, where you were filming, what happens, if it was going to follow the graphic novel. Was that hard for you to keep all those secrets and not tell all of us what was going on?
There were times where it was, but as soon as we announced that I was going to be in the show, it was fine for me. But the one thing I did was when someone asked me, I would want to tell them because I love telling people everything about telling everything about everything. Like I can go on for hours and hours about my favorite movie and what one of the best scenes are and why they're so amazing. But the one thing me and my mom went through was saying, just when someone would ask me, I would say, well, you just have to see for yourself. I can't tell you anything. You have to be surprised because I don't want to spoil it to anyone because I want them to experience it all blindly because seeing something without having any reaction to it or any knowledge of it, going into the show with no expectation whatsoever, it makes the show much more entertaining, and it definitely it does for me with certain things. So I want to be able to make sure that nobody would go on with big spoilers because actually it does get pretty twisty during the end of the season. But so definitely I didn't want to spoil anything. But as time went by, it definitely got a lot more simple.
And we should say, again, no spoiler alerts, but there's some pretty amazing things that happen with your character towards the end of the series.
Oh, yes.
So you don't want to miss that, you guys. Some pretty intense things. And maybe when season 2 comes out, I will want to ask you some more pointed questions about that. But I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it. But, so you guys had to go far away to do this, and you were a pretty tight-knit cast, I understand. Have you stayed in contact with the cast? Are you guys like a big family?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We all stay in contact on WhatsApp, and we just talk whenever we need to. But I think it's amazing being a part of that family, because being a guest star on other shows like The Good Doctor it's like visiting people, but being in a family from start to finish and being a part of that story from the entire journey, it's such an amazing, it's such a different perspective when you're in that kind of that kind of production. So it really is amazing.
Wow. So Michelle has written in and she says, "Hi, Coby. What was the most challenging scene to film and why?" I don't know if we can tell that without any spoiler alerts, but what do you think?
I can try my best to keep. But so during the end of the series, I'm not going to say anything, but I do a big. There's a part with a big stunt, but I have a stunt double. It was probably the best scene I did in the entire show. But also at times it was the hardest because there were parts where I actually were during the prologue before the stunt happened, I had to do something and having to and they had a screwdriver so the way I was standing behind the screwdriver, it was the other way, so it was so awkward for me to pick it up because I would have to turn it around, because the problem is they want me to pick it up so quickly and stab it, but the problem is it was in the other direction, so I was actually unable to get to grab it. So finally they fixed it, but doing that scene itself was just fantastic, and having that challenge with it made it even more memorable.
I love that that you enjoy the hard stuff. I think that's a hallmark of you, that you're like, okay, so this is challenging and it's just that much more exciting. And somebody else said, have they confirmed the next season? And she says, no, spoiler alerts, I just started watching. And we're trying really hard to not give spoiler alerts, because I know some of you are just getting to it.
Yeah.
But they have confirmed season 2, have they not?
They have. Oh yeah. Oh, they have. Yeah. It's fantastic. I was so happy to hear about it. I'm so excited to see what happens later on, because in the comics it definitely gets pretty interesting. Even though the show is straying away from the books, I do feel as if they're going to introduce more keys because they've only introduced a small portion of keys in the show. There's way more in the books, and it's
really.
But yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I did not know that. Has it been interesting for you, being your popularity has gone through the roof and now you're considered a role model for so many young people? Is that great for you, or is that challenging? What's that like for you?
I think it's amazing because I've gotten so many messages from people, parents with kids who have autism, people with autism, teachers, who teach special ed. I've gotten all sorts of messages and just such amazing messages and things and questions, and then and people telling me because of you I'm gonna be an art. I want to be an artist. I want to be an actor. I want to be a writer. And it's just an amazing thing because now people are because of me. They say, hey, if you can do this, I can do that. So having to follow dreams, having to follow their dreams, even though they are different from others, that doesn't stop them. So I'm really happy about getting that message through, and it really does feel amazing that people are looking up to me and realizing, hey, I can do this. It's not just because I'm different from everyone else doesn't mean I can't follow my dream job or what I want to do when I grow up. It should what you are doesn't define you. It's who you are. Who you are on the inside, and what makes you special is your personality and just who you are inside. Absolutely.
You always make me cry, Coby. You're such an inspiration. You always make me cry. Okay, and so do you have a favorite fan story? Since we were talking about how the fans have written to you, do you have a favorite fan story that just blew your doors off, that somebody wrote to you or came up to you? Or
well, I don't have any one-on-one fan stories, but actually I do have a lot of fan sets on Instagram, and that definitely is interesting. But I'm getting used to it. But I think it's amazing that there are people who are looking up to me and just loving the things that I'm doing and following my journey because having people who support your journey, who support you in your journey and who you are, it really is amazing. And everyone watching me, it's really cool because I've always wanted to be on the screen. People notice me, but I love acting. But I love acting just because acting is my passion. It's and having people admire me, but also look up to me. I really do like that a lot. It definitely isn't what I expected to as I've to do, but seeing it happen now is really amazing.
And somebody just wrote in and said, "You are so inspiring, young man," and I hold that true as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
Now, Brandon has a very unfair question, and you don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but he wants to know, who is your favorite person to work with on the show, like to do scenes with? Was there anybody that you in particular, or did you just love everybody? You don't have to answer.
Everybody. I don't like picking favorites, but I loved everybody, and I even loved everybody who I didn't work with because even though we weren't in one-on-one scenes together, I still made a lot of friends with the cast who weren't with me in scenes, and that's what's amazing because the entire cast is just full of amazing people. So many just kind, sweet people with good hearts, and they're just yeah, absolutely.
And your mom said that the whole cast and crew and the writers were just amazing people, that you guys had the best time. And I love hearing that. So Pamela said, "Hi, Coby, how are you?" Which I want to segue into talking about that, so here you are, you've done all this work, you come back from Toronto, you do the big red carpet, the show is out, and it's all very exciting. And then all of a sudden it's like COVID, now you got to go home and stay home. And you're coming to us from home. We're going to talk about all the cool stuff on your back wall there. But how are you doing with this staying at home phase?
I'm going to be completely honest with you, Shannon. I don't want to hold back from the truth, but I definitely want to tell you how I'm feeling. But it's been hard for me. I'm not, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's been really hard for me, and I'm sure it's hard for everybody. For me, it's been a challenge, not being able to go outside and not being able to do the things I normally do, being stuck confined in my house. It's a lot. It really is. But the one thing I'm doing that's helping me calm down is having goals for when all this is over. But it's one day at a time, and me and my mom actually just started going for walks outside, just around the park for a quick moment, just to get out, because we've been stuck in our house for over a month and not even leaving it. And it feels good to be able to walk outside, to have the fresh air, to actually feel like we're outside. But even though we're going outside, I still am very wary about going outside, because it just isn't the same as going outside as I normally do. Like,
and are you wearing masks when you go out, Coby?
That's the hardest part too, because I want to be able to breathe the fresh air without having to wear a mask and gloves, and just going outside like I normally do. But the problem is I get so scared of just going outside, because it's too much for me. Like, I want to be able to go outside without having to have so many steps and so many specific things, just so I can go outside and enjoy the fresh air. And that really is a lot, but it's one step at a time, and we're getting through it. And I'm sure that everything is gonna end no time soon. But
being such a wonderful role model, and I appreciate you being honest with us and saying that this has been challenging, because I think anything about the truth is, we don't need that. But for people who are watching, who are also finding it challenging, or their kiddos are finding it challenging, what has worked for you? And that's not going to be what works for everybody, but what has worked for you when it gets stressful? What are you doing to help yourself?
I read a lot. I've been reading a lot, actually, honestly, a lot more than I've been watching TV, surprisingly. I'm a huge reader. I'm a huge fantasy novel geek. I love comic books and just everything fantasy and sci-fi related. And I've been reading Game of Thrones, and definitely reading stories has been helping me cope with everything. Also, I've been listening to music. Music has always been the one thing to help me with everything. It sustains me, and it helps me reciprocate with everything. And definitely is perfect for. And definitely, music is perfect for what we're going through right now. So it definitely has helped a lot more for me. But I added. I'm a huge Japanese music fan, and I don't know why I did it, but I made this playlist that consists of Japanese music from the 80s, like classic, like all those classic songs. But I kept adding more songs, to the point where I realized I had 30 hours of songs on my playlist, over almost 500 songs on there, and I actually had to delete them out, because actually they're taking up storage on my phone. So literally I have a playlist that consists of 400 songs on my phone, and I just listen to that when I'm ready to, and it goes on for hours and hours. So I can just listen. So I can just listen to it while I'm doing something, and it really helps a lot.
Wonderful. I mean, and the fact that you're finding the thing that you love and taking care of yourself in that way is a really fabulous thing. Can you tell us one good thing that has happened for you and your mom out of this having to stay home during this time? Is there one good thing? Because I keep asking everybody, what's the one thing that's good?
Just as being together. It's just as being together, being and having Zoom and FaceTime, and just definitely is a big blessing for us because we can still keep in touch with our family, and we can and my mom and we have people who are like family to us, and my mom and my mom has specific days of the week where she FaceTimes them, and she calls a happy hour, and she just talks to her friends because we both need socializing, even when we're distancing ourselves from the outside world. It helps us because honestly, it's in our nature to be social, not in having conflict within that. It's a lot, but no matter what, there always is a way. There never is only one way. There's so many ways you can talk to someone, but it definitely is helping us with everything. It definitely isn't making us going crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, none of us are going crazy. So what, out of everything, what's the thing that you miss the most, or is the thing that you're going to do first when this is all over?
I miss a lot of things. The biggest things. The biggest thing I want to do is just walk on the beach because I love the ocean. I love the beach. I've grown up on a beach. I was born in a beach town, so the beach has always been my most favorite thing. But also one of the biggest things I want to do is down in over in LA. There's a place called Little Tokyo, and there's this revolving sushi restaurant that we go to all the time. So that definitely is somewhere I want to go to because in a way, once all this is over, that will be our celebration for the world, definitely, for the world finally being
back our new normal.
Being back to normal, but also changing in a big way. So that definitely is our celebration for finally being free from our homes for almost 2 months. But that definitely is something I look forward to doing. And like I said, goals, like having goals for doing things after everything. It really helps. It really helps because at least no matter what, even though we're going through these times, we still have something to look forward to when all it is over, and that definitely is the resolution to everything.
I want to tell you some of the things that people are saying. People are saying you're such an inspiration, very much an inspiration. Raquel wants you to know that she loved the relationship between Brody and Rufus. I think we all did. Oh my gosh.
I did too.
So many people writing in saying that they love Japanese music too, and that they love music. I want to say hi to Sapphire. Sapphire is saying hi to both of us. Jeremy has written in and he says, this just makes me want to cry. Jeremy says, you make me more proud to be who I am. I too have autism. And somebody else says, totally agree with Jeremy. Now, somebody said, hi, Coby, you are so awesome. Some exciting news too. Autism advocate Dr. Temple Grandin heard about you and she'll try to take a look at your show. So I want to pivot a little bit because you're a fairly big fan of Temple Grandin's, and you just recently saw the movie, the HBO movie about her. And so I want to know, what did you think when you saw the movie?
I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic movie. And before I knew of Temple Grandin, but I didn't know all the amazing things she did. But finally seeing the movie, I finally understand that now. And it was a movie. Out of everyone with autism, I think Temple Grandin's the person I can relate to the most because I've had definitely a lot of the same problems she had growing up. So having someone I can relate to is really amazing.
And in what ways are you and Temple alike? What did you see in the movie that you went, oh yes, that's I'm like that?
A lot of things actually, but but there, but a lot of them I can't fully describe in words. There are some things I can, like for example, I have visions in my head that are very vivid, but I can't explain what they are because they come out of nowhere. Like sometimes I'll be just thinking about something, and then my mom will ask me, "Are you okay? What are you thinking about?" And I said, "I'm just thinking. I can't describe it." I have those thoughts in my head all the time, but also getting overwhelmed and getting overwhelmed and being socially awkward. I definitely related that to that with Temple. In school obviously in school I was bullied a lot, and people thought I was crazy, and they would make fun of me for and they would make fun of me for having autism and for being different and for the way I talked and just for everything, and I felt and that was something I definitely related to the most.
Yeah. It just breaks my heart. I just, the bullying part, it breaks my heart. If you had the opportunity to ask Temple Grandin anything at this point, we asked her the question the other day because that you and your mom had posed about, does she still have the cow squisher? But if there's something you would like to say to her or to ask her, what would it be? Yeah,
actually, I do have two questions, but the first one is does it ever get challenging to be a voice for autism? Like, does it ever get to a point where it gets too overwhelming, or does it get to a point where, or is it hard for you when someone approaches you and asks for an autograph in a photo, but does it ever get challenging or difficult for when you for being a voice, for being that voice, for being an inspiration for people with autism? That definitely is one of the biggest ones I have for her. And
I'm going to make sure that we ask her that question. But absolutely. Then what's the other question?
The other question is, what was it like having a movie that was based on you? What was it like having an actress play you, and how did it feel?
I think that's a great question. I can't wait to ask her that too. But I want to throw it back to you with the first question. Is it ever challenging and hard for you? I was when you did the keynote for Taka. This was that in the fall or in the spring? I've lost all track of time.
That was in the fall.
Was it in the fall? It was so amazing, Coby. I still haven't recovered from it. To see you up there by yourself talking for an hour and
absolutely.
Over 900 people who gave you a standing ovation that just wouldn't end because you were so amazing. And then afterwards, people lined up for well over an hour to take pictures with you and get an autograph. And I remember standing there and watching you as person after person came up. And I thought, you're still a 17-year-old on the spectrum. That can't be easy for you. Is it ever overwhelming to you, Coby?
It's no matter what. I think always it does get overwhelming for a lot of people. For me, yes, it does. The keynote I was nervous about doing before, but me and my mom with the steps, we wrote the speech together, but most of it was just improv and it's me talking about my autism, but signing autographs, taking pictures, that it was fun. It was so amazing meeting everyone, but after that, but after all that was over, because actually I thought it was going to be at the night, but it wasn't. It was during the morning. But after all that was over, I slept for almost 2 days because
oh my gosh.
I was exhausted after that. I could not. I felt so just physically and mentally tired. But
Yeah.
but
I don't know how you could have felt anything but, because you gave it all.
yeah.
You were amazing, absolutely amazing. And I gotta say too, your mom's pretty incredible. Your mom is one of my best friends, and she's an incredible person. We've been looking at this wall behind you because
Oh,
you guys are a little bit into Disneyland and
Little
into
bit.
Disney
Not much.
period. I thought for sure when you were going to say, you know, things that you missed, it was going to be going to Disneyland, because I know that you guys go there occasionally. But all of these things on the back wall are things that your mom has made.
Oh yeah,
she's amazing, right?
Everything. And I'm telling you, my mom is so good at what she does. It's just amazing to see everything she does and how she in the idea she comes up in her head. And that definitely is something I have in common with Mom. We both have ideas and we both want to share them. But seeing everything she does is just fantastic.
I just want to say that on Instagram, people can go to some imagination creations and see some of the things, like that wonderful Neverland clock up there. So some imagination creations, you can go there to see the things. But your mom does so many things. Your mom is good at so many things. And, you know, over the years, you've done a lot of events for us, Coby. You did red carpets for us. And, you know, watching you work the red carpet, I'm just going to be honest, you're better at it than I am. And, you know, I make no bones about that. Coby is better at the red carpet than I am. But your mom,
that isn't
no,
true.
It's true. But I got to say too, that your mom also helps you to be prepared and has things on cards and your mom is like awesome. And
she's super.
She is super.
Yeah, she's super.
But I know that when it comes right down to it, I think she does a great job of preparing you for anything that might come. But then it's down to you. You step into the spotlight and you have to deliver. And when I've been watching you since you were 14, do different theater things. And then we watched you on Speechless, and then we watched you on The Good Doctor. And
now I'm here. Yeah.
And now here, and these people have not even seen you sing, Coby. And I'm telling you, you're Broadway bound, because this young man can sing, folks. He can sing, is what I'm saying. I don't know whether it's going to be American Idol or you're going to go to Broadway next. I don't know, but this boy can sing, you guys. But I'll tell you, when we started watching Locke and Key, we didn't think you were in the first episode. I don't know how I got that wrong, but you were in the first episode in a very poignant way. And I got to tell you, Coby, it raised every goosebump I ever thought about having in that first scene with you. It's just a brief moment. But for any of you who know anything about acting, you know, for somebody to be able to do what Coby did in a second and a half in that first episode, it is some superior acting work, Coby.
Thank you so much.
It is.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. When I saw that scene, when I watched it, I wasn't viewing it as me being on screen, just someone else. But I thought that's a great way to introduce the character, to show that Rufus has such innocence. That's similar to a child, that he's a gentle giant. Just having that introduction is a perfect way to show a character and to show what comes later in the show.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Absolutely.
We've only got a minute left, but people. So somebody wrote it. Daniel wrote it and said, "Hello, I'm autistic and like what you're doing with this live show. Also, Coby Bird is a brilliant guest choice. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
so much."
And somebody else said that J-pop is awesome. That they love J-pop. Once somebody said, once we get back to normal, I can't see. There we go. Once we get back to normal and I have my K-3 students with autism back with me, I'd love to show them clips of you. so they can see others like themselves. Wouldn't that be lovely?
That'd be amazing.
And you guys, check out Coby's Instagram, the Coby Bird, because we can see you sing there, right? You've got clips of you singing.
I do, yes.
Oh my gosh.
I do.
Oh my gosh. I mean, just seriously, it's, so good. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but Coby, can I just tell you, I think I love you. My family loves you. We miss you. We can't wait to be able to get together. And
absolutely, yes.
We're going to try to have a karaoke night before we can all actually get together, but we're going to get together soon.
I'd love that.
Please hug your mother for me. I'm going to tell people if you want to see what she does, because she does some incredible custom work.
Fantastic.
Some imagination creations. Go to Instagram, follow Coby at the Coby Bird, and we just appreciate you so much for being here. I want to remind everybody, we're back here tomorrow with Temple Grandin's mother, Eustacia Cutler. So that will be super fantabulous, wonderful. And I'm going to make sure that Temple gets the questions that you had for her, Coby. And she said she was going to watch Locke and Key. So we can't wait to hear from her what she thinks about that. So Coby, thank you so much. Hug your mother for me.
Good seeing you again, Shannon. Bye, everyone.
Love you. And everybody, we're going to see you tomorrow. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.